Hello and welcome back to Nat Scraps. I hope you guys are having a wonderful crafty day and that you're ready to delve in to card 3 of our easel card series. And today we have a double easel and we're going to walk through how to make this one and come out with this cute vintage card at the end. If you haven't seen the other cards in this series, I highly recommend going back and having a watch of those. By all means, stick through this one, but if you don't understand something, it may have been explained in those first 2 videos. We're going to jump straight into it and head over to Design Space and start bringing in a few bits and pieces to create our card. In Design Space, we are going to start by importing the 3 elements that we're going to use on our card. So that's our suitcase, the globe and the banner. We don't need the words on the banner, so we're going to take them away and delete them, and then we're going to make them on. This card is going to be made to fit in a 6x6 envelope. It's not going to have a 6x6 card base like a traditional 6x6 card, but it will fit in that size envelope. I am making the banner 6 inches wide and leaving the proportion just as whatever that comes out of. The globe I am also going to make 4 inches wide and let the height go just in proportion, and the suitcase exactly the same at 2.7 inches wide. I will pop in the description below those measurements so that if you do want to replicate this card, you can go back and see them there. Yeah, you will have noticed there that all of these items I have made a copy of, and then I've united them to make them a solid image. Now, always make a copy and keep an original to the side, because if you make a mistake, you don't want to have to come back in and resize everything again. If you've made a copy, you can always just make another copy if something goes wrong or you cut it wrong or something happens, which happens all of the time, but having that copy there helps tremendously. Here I've placed the banner right up the top, and in a moment you'll see I'm going to come in and I'm going to flip it. I just didn't like the angle that the banner was coming down on. That is just a personal decision. I also rotated it a little bit so that it had a bit more of a straight line along that top edge. There is a section there that's a little bit higher and a little bit lower. I want it as much as possible to be there on the straight edge. I've then popped the globe up in that top corner with the base of it up on the very top edge and right against the left hand side. I'm bringing in a shape now, and we're going to do the slice that we've done previously in other videos. I'm going to make that one 6 inches wide by 3. That's just, again, another personal thing. It could be any size really. The important thing is to place it where we want to cut off that globe, and for me that's 3 inches down from the top of that image there. Once I've used the slice on that, I'm going to delete the section that we've sliced off, then go back to that image and to copy and paste that one, flip it over and join it exactly at that 3-inch mark, and then holding the shift key, select both of those parts of the globe and unite them together. Now I'm going to unite this whole image now, so I'm just making another copy of that banner for the other parts that I need, but then I'm going to select the banner and the globe and hit the unite. Now we need to incorporate the base into that piece. So now I'm going to go up and make a piece 6 inches wide by 4 inches high. Now I like to use the square for this like I have in previous videos because it's got the nice sharp corners, whereas the rectangle has the rounded corners and I personally don't think it looks as good. Now this is going to be the base what the card sits on, but I want it attached to that little piece of banner and globe. So once I've got that in permission, and again I'm using that top left hand corner because it helps to keep everything in line. I can move everything right hard up against the left side and know that they're in the same positions. I select both of those and unite them, and that's part 1 done. In my earlier videos, I detail where each of these buttons are, so feel free to go back and see that, and that will help you what I am doing. I have started building the second easel section by pulling the banner all the way over into that top left hand corner, and then also bringing that suitcase across and placing that in the position that I want. Now I want it to be very close to the very edge of the right hand side of that banner. If I get too far over, it is going to be obstructed with the globe, and you will see that later once we've put the card together, but it is important to get that in a good spot. I'm going to come in and take a slice from the top of this, and you can see here it's about the 2¼ inch mark from the top down. If it's too high, again, it's going to cause problems with the card opening and closing. Here I realized I didn't unite the banner and that suitcase, so I go back in and do that before I take the slice. Now I think it'll be fine if you do that before or after. And then I'm now going to hold the shift and hold the square that I've built there and take the slice. Once I've done that slice, I'm going to delete the parts that I don't need, which is those bottom bits. And then I'm going to do a copy and paste, make a second one of the banner and flip that upside down, which is really a repeat and rinse. And when they are connecting really well, then I will do a unite on that and make those two pieces one. And just like the last piece as well, we're going to build a little base for it. So this one I have done at 6 inches wide and 2 inches high and connected that. I'm going back to the first section now, and I'm going to add another little detail to it. I'm going to do another copy and paste of the banner that we have there. I'm going to make that slightly smaller in size. I'm going to reduce it down, and I'm going to put it so that it hangs just off the edge of the globe there. Now that is going to have a little sentiment on. You could leave this off. In my prototypes that I made, I found that this is a little bit of a weak joint. It has got a small kind of flimsier area there, and putting this little bit of a banner there helps to strengthen it. We're also going to add something later on to strengthen on the other end of the globe to make that stronger as well. I made a copy of it once I got it to the right size so that I can have something on the outside of the card as well as the base of that piece, which will make sense when we go to put it together. This just jumped forward to where I had changed the colours, so I spent some time looking at different colours and what I would like, and then I jump forward to this section here. So what I am doing here is creating a offset, and that will create exactly the same shape but smaller. You may notice I did make a copy to do this. It's always a good idea to make a copy before you make any changes. That way, if something goes completely wrong, rather than having to hit the back button multiple times, you can just delete it and start again. I'm now going to change those and make them the colours that I want. So I'm making one the lighter cream and the other one the dark brown that I'm going to use in behind the globe. Ignore the little thing there that says text, I will get rid of that. Gone. And here is where I am going to come in and put a little bit of reinforcing where that little part of the globe meets the banner there, and it's a little bit weak. So I've just got a square roughly about the size that it's not going to be stick out too much, but covers the little bit of stand and the banner area there. And when I've got it the right side, I am just going to hold down the shift key, select both of them and unite. And that's just going to make that area there just that little bit bigger, and I will find it a bit sturdier. I am just going to tidy up this piece here. I don't need this end bit of the banner that I've built that square over. So again, I'm just doing a slice on this and removing that section. You will notice when we put this together, if that was there, it would just be behind what is already there with the globe. Once I've got all these pieces done, I am going to come back to my craft bench. Here we are. Whoops, that was very quick, wasn't it? Here I'm scoring where I need to on this card base. So this is the part 1, And I'm going to score under that banner and between the block, the card-based block that we put there. Once I've done that, I'm going to fold that globe in half and match up the top half with the bottom half, and I'm going to score that really well. Now I've got that little bit excess from the outside of the globe, the little wiry bit there. I'm going to cut that off. I don't need it. It would just be in the way and cause issues, so I'm cutting that away. And you can see here, once I've got that nicely scored, that globe will sit up. And as we add pieces to that, it will get slightly more rigid, and also the weight will help keep it down. Now you've got to make sure that we're doing the section here that is between the card base section that we built and the banner. You can see I nearly scored that in the wrong spot. And I'm going to score there and really give that a nice strong fold. And then I am going to match up the two ends of the banner and fold it in half and score along there again, or give it a good burnishing, I should say, not a score. That will give us the half on half there with the little card base that goes below. Now that's the hardest bits I think that we need to do today. So we're going to do a little bit of building of the other pieces. So a little bit of stamping and colouring just to give it some more details. I do like to blend the pieces all in the same colour. Today I'm using the espresso ink and blending the majority of the edges with that. I always find it gives so much more depth and detail when you do a little bit of blending. Even around the dark espresso cardstock there, you can see I went in and blended as well. I'm now going to attach the two easel parts together, and to do that I'm going to add tape. Now it's important to only put it on that little base section that we made, then line it up in that right hand corner as you can see, and then fold it over. And you can see you sort of need to twist a little bit to get that banner to go in behind. And you do need to make some little adjustments, but it should sit there quite okay. Some of the pieces that I cut today, I pre-placed a double-sided adhesive on the back of them before I cut them. It's mainly the smaller pieces, and it does make it really lots easier to put together. This world piece is one of the pieces I did put the adhesive, the double-sided sticker adhesive on the back. Here I'm going in with the Jade tri-blend marker, and I'm going around the edges of the pieces of land. It's a little bit hard to see. You'll be able to make a little bit more sense in a minute, but I'm going around those edges, and then I am doing what to me is just a little bits of mountains on these pieces. Now this is just my interpretation. The mountains may not be in the right place. I'm sure the Alps are in the Alps, and the Everest's probably nowhere near Everest sort of thing, but it's just my little bit of an interpretation. Once I've put that bit of ink down, I'm going in with the slightly darker one here, and then I'm going to use a blending tool and soften all that up. So it's the clear blender, and I kind of use tiny swirly motions around the outside edge of this, and it kind of makes it look like an older map where, you know, they have sort of the smudges of the hills and the mountains and things like that. Well, that's my interpretation of this anyway. So I do spend some time doing that, and once I have them done, I'm going to then place those pieces on top of the blue. So here I'm removing that sticky sheet back, and I'm just taking it off where the countries are, and I'm snipping away the bit to the side, and then I'm going to line it up. Now the globe is not a perfect circle, so it's important to make sure that you're getting this in the right spot. Don't laugh too hard as you see me try to line this up and have several attempts at it. I do eventually get it, guys. I'm then going to come in with the other two parts and adhere them in their spots as well. Now I'm just doing this from eye and from the picture. Quite often when I'm putting something together that I have done from Design Space, I will have my Design Space open in front of me. My screen is in front of my workbench there, and I'll have it open and compare where the pieces go from what is on the screen and use that as a guide. I would love to know what you guys use and how you guys put your images together after you've cut them. I'm always looking for new ideas and new ways to do things. Coming in with that tiny last little bit that goes on the edge there. I think this is too plain with that blue, so I'm going in with just a small door bar there, And the reason I'm going in with that is just to add a little bit in between. My blending tools would have been too big. I would have got ink all over the pieces of land as well as the edges. This allows me to go into kind of a small area there and fill in that space. Now, I'm not really blending as such, but more just kind of dabbing this on. And I believe I'm using the Capri ink, but I could be wrong there because I've put it away and I can't remember. I'm going to adhere that into its correct spot now, and then grab out this next little piece. So this one's cut with some, it is not glitter paper, but it's a bit golder. It's not part of the Close to My Heart range, but I really like the old world kind of gold that it gave, and it works just perfectly for this particular globe. Once that piece is in place, I'm going to attach this to that base. I'm only adding glue to that bottom section. You can see there I've indicated with that black line, so everything from there downwards I added glue. If you get glue on any of the other pieces, it will stop the card from working. And hopefully I showed that. I'm going to build the suitcases now. So it has a few smaller pieces. Starting with this green, I put this on, then realized that that was a mistake because I do want to do some stamping. So rather than having just a solid cardstock colors that go on here, I wanted to add a little bit of texture to the suitcases. All of these are stamped with tone on tone. So the first piece is the vanilla, no, that's not what it's called. Sorry guys, is it shortbread? That's it, shortbread paper, and I'm stamping on with shortbread ink and then blending around with that espresso. The second piece that we're going to do now, these are all stamps that were used in they were part of one of the specials last year, Background Elements. And there's some dots and some little arrowy things, some little stars and some stripes. So I'm going to use the stars now, and I'm going on to the Glacier cardstock with Glacier. Sorry about my head keep popping in to this. And I'm going to blend around the outside edges of that with espresso as well. I will go into the top one, and I'm going to use the little stripy one from this collection to do the top one, and I will go in with the rosemary ink again on the rosemary and do that. I'm just using a little bit of white gel pen there on the corners just to define the sections between the two suitcases there. They were just little extra bits that I hadn't taken out, so I just removed those. And I go to add the gold trim bits, the hardware or handles and bits and pieces, and nearly forget to stamp that Glacier one, but managed to remember and go in and stamp that. And this is just giving, it's only very light, and it's even hard to see on this camera here, but it's light and just gives a tiny extra little detail to those suitcases. If you hang around to the end to see all the close-up shots, it does make a huge difference. Once I've popped all that little hardware on, that suitcase is all done. So we are going to attach that to the easel card. So again, we've got to make sure that we only put the adhesive on the bottom half here. So there's the banner and the suitcase area. I'm putting on the layer of the banner and double checking again. If you put it on the top half, again, I can't stress how much, if you glue the top half, it is not going to fold. Making sure that's nicely adhered, and then putting the other second layer of the banner on. Now I do thankfully remember to stamp this before I put it on. Now I am using the Many Wishes. Again, this was a special from the middle of last year, but you have many stamp sets to choose. I think this card could be for a thank you for people who have looked after your house while you've been away. It could be a birthday card. It could be a bon voyage card. It could be congratulations, engagement, lots and lots of different things. So what you put on those little banners is really up to you. Here I'm just looking for the little stamp that says sending you, and I'm going to stamp that on that tiny banner that we've made. Now I did go in and check that I had this banner up the right way and before I stamped it, and then I'm going to go back and blend around the edges and add that. Hopefully by this stage it makes more sense, all the little bits, and why we had to do so much copy and pasting for those other tiny bits and pieces. Now we could stop about here, but I'm going to decorate the base bit just a little bit more. We do have a 12 by 12 stencil that has a world map on it in our core catalogue. I will leave in the description below any of these products that I've used that are still available, and you'll be able to go and see what exactly they are. So I've blended the espresso ink onto that, and that just adds a little bit to the base. I still want it so that if somebody wants to write a message there, it's not completely covered, but that it's not just bare cardstock as well. If you had some nice patterned paper, you could add that there. Or the final step we're going to do is adding the two little strips that are going to stop the card from falling flat once it's been put up. I've cut 2/4 inch strips. I will put some foam tape behind those and then add them to the card. But while you watch me fumble and bumble around and do that, I just want to thank you guys so much for hanging around and spending this time with me. I hope you've enjoyed this series. Please let me know if you have. I am thinking about making my Tuesday videos, Cricut and digital videos. If that's something that you would like to see, let me know. Or if there's something else that you prefer, I'd love to hear from you. While you're down there, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button, you know, all those things we keep telling you to do. It does help us get our videos seen and keep making good content. I really enjoy seeing all your comments and finding out what you guys like. At the end of this video, there are lots of still shots that will help you understand how the card sits up and where the pieces go. So please hang about for that if you want to make one of these at home yourselves. Check out the still shots. That will give you a really good idea because it's very hard on video to get those details in. Once again, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. This has been a blast, and I will see you in the near future. Take care, guys. Bye.